Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and congratulations, Canada, on your Toronto Blue Jays going to the World Series tonight. As a Yankee fan, this absolutely kills me. But nonetheless, the nation is excited. Yay, yay, yay. That's for you, T-Bone. For you. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is our guest tonight. I absolutely love her. You're going to love her too. Her energy is infectious. And guess what, people? She has fantastic hair. Beautiful hair. We're going to make a comment about that coming up momentarily. Dirty Filth is here with another epic cartoon celebrating a major anniversary tonight. But the best part of every one of you being here is that I get to call out your names, including Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position. Kitty Caddywhack with a silver. Paramarv with a nice bronze medal tonight. Robert Lamoth and Race Fan, how you doing? Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, Creepy Pasta. Anil, how are you guys tonight? Frankie B, thanks for coming on in. Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You never want to feel dry and rigid when you're talking exoconsciousness. So thank you, Mel, for lubing us up tonight. T-Bone, my man, how you doing, buddy? I know you're on cloud nine right now. Operation Shutdown is here. Operation Shutdown will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Jaquetta, how are you? Thanks for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. Oh, it's Jaquetta's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jaquetta. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Carol Lamario, how are you tonight? Benno, my man, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with the roll call. There's Luscious Jules. Mickey G is here. Mickey G will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Be gentle. This is Mickey G's first time signing autographs. Got to get the signature right. So it's a lot of pressure from you guys. Scrolling on down, we say hello to Pony Pong and Cosmic Joe. Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, Thomas Rock, Eternity Eternal. Thank you for joining us. Necessary Dialogue, Algaray over on Twitch. So excited about Rebecca being on the show tonight. Did 2,000 jumping jacks in 4 minutes. That's impressive. Really impressive. Kaz, how are you? Corey and Undead Jed, thanks for coming on in. Matthew Goodka, nice to see you on a Monday night as we continue on with roll call here. And in the studio, how are you? And Larry Bonds, the great home run hitter right there. Walter Kochabinski and Ozzy, good to see you. Jay Truthseeker, Asteroid coming. How are you guys? Ozzy Ange, looking lovely tonight, or this afternoon for you. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Hi there, Lisa Smith. Jerence Carter, nice to have you here. As we continue on with our roll call, Athena, nice to see you. And Super Crazy, good to have you here as well. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I don't know why I'm blurry on camera, but good to have you guys with us as we continue on with our roll call, preparing for Rebecca Hardcastle Wright. And where are we here? We are in roll call right now as we say hello to Flat 6. And where are we here? Let's see. Beelzebrad has a devil put aside for me, for me, for me. All right, we'll fix the camera thing in a second here. Radio Wendigo, nice to have you here as we continue on with our roll call tonight. And I'm Hardcore over on X. Good to see you. And let's see here. We're caught up. Hey, want to remind everybody the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And what is with this camera? Focus. There we go. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an amazing show tonight. We're going to talk about us being exoconscious. Is it possible? We're going to learn tonight. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is here to discuss it all. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another creepy story. Then the UFO wizard, Josh Rutledge, will be here for the UFO report. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is a pioneering voice on the intersection of consciousness, contact, planetary ethics, and governance innovation. As the founder of the Institute for Exoconsciousness, the first disclosure organization or post-disclosure organization, and co-creator of the Planetary Constitution, Rebecca leads a movement dedicated to empowering humanity to consciously co-create our planetary and multidimensional future. Her groundbreaking work redefines how we understand contact, consciousness, and our role in the evolving cosmic community. Oh, doesn't that sound great? Her vision of exoconsciousness humans inspires people to embrace their natural multidimensional abilities and integrate psychic and contact experiences into daily life. Yeah, this is good woo. Through her leadership in exoconsciousness, ufology, planetary ethics, and governance, Rebecca bridges science, spirituality, and policy. As an organizer, author, and mentor, she helps humanly navigate the path forward towards freedom, peace, and co-creation. Let's bring her on in here. Her website, by the way, is exoconsciousness.com. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright, it is so good to see you again. How are you?
Good evening, Dave, and hello to everybody. I loved that you named everyone.
Yes.
That's great.
So for our radio audience, we start on YouTube about 6 minutes before, and I will literally say hello to every person in our chat room. It's just one of those things I do. I'm anal about it. So
I love it.
Yeah. it's one of those weird things that I do. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. It is always a pleasure. Let's learn about you for our audience who may not be familiar with your work. How did it all begin for you going into the world of exoconsciousness, ET contact, psychic intuition?
It started as in childhood. I'm what's called a childhood experiencer. It's quite common. My first probably cognitive memories of what was going on for me as a child was about 3 years old, which is also quite common. Some people come in as like crib contactees. They remember being in the crib, or they remember in utero being contacted. But I'm a childhood contactee. I was born in West Virginia, so I was born in a small town, city, a mining town in Clarksburg, West Virginia. And that's where most of my early contact took place. And I love the connection between what I experienced and the Sasquatch experience, because as a child, well, first of all, where I lived in Clarksburg, it's very porous. So it's full of mines. And as a matter of fact, there was a town there called Bridgeport that was right next to Clarksburg. And on Bridgeport, they built a golf course, kind of a private golf course. A lot of people flew in from DC to use that golf course. And there was back when I was a child, there was a private airport for them. But when you would ride your golf cart on those golf paths, you could hear that it was hollow underneath. So very interesting place. And my contact was not only with extraterrestrials in craft that I had vivid contacts about, but I was also taken underground. And I spent much of my time underground. And I knew then, even as a child, that there was some connection between craft in the sky and what I was experiencing there, and what I was meeting and communicating with under the ground. So,
what do you mean that you were taken underground?
I mean, I have very vivid memories of being sucked under the ground as a child. Well, first of all, just to be clear, I lived in a small little town, and which has kind of grown into a nice sized city, not city, but a larger town. And so I was really free to roam as a child, and to go, out and play, my mother would open the door, we'd all run out and play, and then, come over for lunch, come over for dinner. But all that time I was outside, I was in the woods, I was in, down in the quote hollows of West Virginia. It's a very safe childhood. And I had vivid memories that I would go under the ground and meet these beings, meet these creatures that were there. And it was hollow. So I imagine they were dwelling in these hollowed out areas, in these porous areas of West Virginia. And, West Virginia, especially, where I was in Appalachia, settled by, Scotch-Irish people, which were really Scottish people that were moved into Ireland to sort of quell the anti-English resentment. So they were primarily Irish, but they Scots people, but they were moved into Ireland to sort of settle all that down. And then when the settlements became available here in America, a lot of Scotch-Irish moved into Pennsylvania, came into Pennsylvania, many of them, and they then moved into Appalachia, down those old Indian roads into Appalachia. And they brought with them, so the motto of West Virginia is mountaineers are always free. So it's kind of like people that lived on islands. Nobody was really around them unless you really wanted to go up those, hard, rugged trails into Appalachia. So, of course, they made a lot of moonshine and, whatever else they did. But there wasn't very much oversight, and a lot of old medical ways. My great-grandmother was the herbalist for her little community in West Virginia, did all the births and, cured all the diseases and everything. And it was just a very much, so one place I lived in West Virginia, it had to have some kind of druid roots to it, because the people that lived on the land where I lived, there was a big sycamore tree. And when West Virginia was first settled, people would live in the tree trunks. They didn't live in the trees, they lived in the tree trunks. So these were like massive, huge, ancient sycamore trees. And that had like something that happened, maybe a lightning strike, or they got carved out or whatever. But a lot of the tree trunks were 10 by 10. People could actually ride their horses into the tree trunks, turn the horse around, and ride back out. That's how big the tree trunks were. So there was a lot of, you're living in a tree and you're pretty grounded into what's going on underground. I would imagine a lot of those people were maybe came out of old Celtic and Druid knowledge and wisdom and that sort of thing. So just, it's no mistake that, I had contact. I think it's probably a lineage type of thing. Although, of course, in families, it's usually not talked about very much. So that was actually the start of my exoconscious and my contact experience.
When you were underneath the ground with whatever these creatures were, what did they look like?
Many of them were kind of reptilian-like.
And they never harmed you?
No, never.
Did they live in inner Earth, or were they?
They lived down in that. Well, I don't want to say inner Earth, but they certainly lived down in the Earth. And no, I was never harmed.
And
as a matter of fact, I was kind of like brought down there, shown around, and then it's funny, now that you brought it up. So I never really knew what I was doing down there as a child, especially. I didn't really, or a young child, I didn't really know what was going on. And then I would be taken to different places. I would probably do, I was doing like astral traveling or something with them and going to different places in the earth. And I remember sitting on my porch when I moved to Phoenix in the 90s, and I was reading a book about shamanism. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my golly, that's what I was doing. They were like bringing me in to do some kind of like shamanic rituals or shamanic healing of the earth. I think that's what was, I think they were guardians of the earth. I mean, all of this stuff about, reptilians bad, Nordic's good, whatever. I just kind of feel like that's sort of people that aren't really educated about contact, throwing out these terms and classifying people and that sort of thing. So yeah, I never felt any of that. But I also knew, working with them, that humans had powers that they don't use and they need to use to heal the earth, to heal themselves, to heal the cosmos.
So when you communicated with these creatures, were they talking to you, or was it telepathic?
Telepathic.
And what were they explaining to you?
There was a lot of what I would now, as a sophisticated 21st century woman, to describe as more of a frequency education. Like, I was shown a lot of different frequencies, different colors, different areas, different kinds of terrain within the earth. And I think that's mostly what they were teaching me. But I actually think that, kind of going back to the Druids and the Celts and, a lot of nature-based religions, ancient religions, I think they understood a lot about multidimensionality and sort of how the earth connects itself, like trees and roots of trees, and, kind of like in the redwoods. They knew a lot about preserving nature that we've lost and don't really know what to do with, or even how to communicate to it.
Right.
But they were definitely beings.
How big were they?
They were big. They were really quite big. But for some reason, I was never afraid. They never harmed me.
How old were you when they started taking you down there?
I think I'm more, so I knew I had extraterrestrial contact at 3. Probably it was more like kindergarten, elementary school when I started going under. Not only would they pull me under, but I had very, very vivid memories of popping back out when I was all done. And then going home.
I'm so intrigued by this. So when they picked you up and would come get you, were they taking you physically, or were they taking you with spirit in mind, maybe taking you astrally?
Astrally. Well, the only answer, and I've written about this in my book, Exoconsciousness, Your 21st Century Mind. I write all about these experiences. The only thing I can say about that is I didn't know anything about astral travel as a child. So I wouldn't have known if that was happening or not. B, I had a very physical sensation of that happening to me. It wasn't just, popping out of the body with no physical senses, 5 senses. I very much had 5 senses there. And I felt going under, I felt coming out.
And how often was this happening?
I think it's sort of how my contact happens now. I don't really plan it. Probably if I would keep more track of how things are. Sometimes, contact kind of goes in waves. You have a lot of high activity. So I just want to also add before we go on to that. So while that was happening, I was also having extraterrestrial contact. So while I was going underground, I was also having extraterrestrial contact. So
who is visiting you from the ETs?
So I was visited by the ETs, probably some kind of grayish brown hooded beings, maybe a type of gray. Main beings that I was integrating with were the tall whites. A lot of integration with tall whites that I was aware of at the time. I was taken up into the craft, and most of my craft experiences that I described in Exoconsciousness, Your 21st Century Mind, that book, were very common. I mean, being in an arena, being taught by these beings, meeting people later in life that would actually come up to me and go, I was on the ship with you as a child. So that's not unusual for contactees to have someone come up and say, I was on a ship with you when I was a child. There was also, I had a mentor on that ship who was a tall white, who mentored me and kind of told me what I was going to be doing and who I was going to be working with. Interesting thing about the ship, though, was that when we were in the arena, I had this very vivid memory of in the arena that when we were being taught as a group, as opposed to individually, that there were military people around. But they weren't seated with us. They were standing all around the outside edges. And I was told explicitly to be nice to them and don't disrespect them, but be nice to them, because they were there as visitors. And then I also had, I think Grant put me in his book about, craft and navigating craft. I had vivid experiences, and other people do too. It's not uncommon in contactees of being taught how to navigate and propel the craft.
You flew the craft.
Yeah. And
wow.
I knew then that it was consciousness.
That's something that I haven't had. That's my on my dream. That's the bucket list right there. is to I put it out to the universe every night that, in the backwoods here of SOR headquarters, I want to walk outside after the show one night, or even during the show, during one of the breaks, and have a craft sitting there. And I hope I have the strength to get on that craft. I want to do it. I want it so bad. And I don't know if I'll get the opportunity, but it would be really damn cool if it happened.
I hope you get it.
Yes. Yeah. Grant Cameron will be our guest later this
Yeah.
week as well. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
going to be absolutely great. And
Lots of craft consciousness going on.
yeah. So it is a number of years ago, I had a person come up to me, a single mom come up to me and say that her daughter had been experiencing grays at their window in the second story of their home.
Mhm.
And so I talked to her, the young lady, about it. She's now about 18, I guess, 17, 18 now. But she actually told me that she flew the craft as well. And I said, well, what happens when you're on the craft? She goes, it just goes wherever you want to go,
Mhm.
And I said, well, what did you want to see? She goes, well, I wanted to go underwater. I wanted to see some planets. I wanted to just explore. I said, well, how many times did it happen? She goes, once or twice,
Mhm.
And it was just so innocent. You knew she wasn't making it up.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just unbelievable how some people get, like yourself, get that experience.
I didn't know enough to ask for it. I just, and it's funny also, like we're talking about how contact kind of comes in waves. So I had a lot of childhood contact, and then, you go into adolescence and kind of, you want to fit in, and nobody really wants to talk about your experiences. So, things kind of quieted down for a while, and then I got my education, but I was always, that thread was always there, and I was always pulling it, reading books, meeting people.
Yes.
That thread's always there. And then I ended up coming to Phoenix, Arizona in 92. And I ended up in a little town outside of Phoenix called Fountain Hills. And just a couple days after I'd moved there, somebody came up to me and said, oh, you have to meet Ruth Hover. And I'm like, oh, sure. Okay. I meet Ruth Hover. She ends up having run facilitated the longest running experiencer group in the nation at that time. So for the first time in my life, I'm sitting in this little strip shopping center in Fountain Hills, Arizona, with these people that are also experiencers just like me. I mean, it was just an amazing thing that happened in my life. And they're still my friends today. And it's such a wonderful thing. And Ruth was actually, Dr. Hover was actually working with John Mack and Leo Sprinkle at that time on the Peer Project at Harvard. So they were trying to figure out how to, work with experiencers, how to, address them, how to enable them to integrate what was happening to them. And so that really led to my exoconscious work. But during that time, I was a single mom at that time, raising kids. My husband was gone, ex-husband was gone. And so it was pretty, I would say, it's a pretty financially challenging time, let's say. And so I was having a lot of experiences that mirrored what I had gone through in childhood. So
Rebecca, I'm going to get you to hold that thought right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. As we move forward in tonight's show, Rebecca Hardcastle, Wright, is going to tell us the power of the mind, the exoconsciousness, how we can all communicate, how we can all use our intuitive ability to not only help us on this planet, but maybe out in the stars as well. Maybe some of us will take a ride on Comet Lemon when Comet Lemon arrives in a few short hours. Check the Big Dipper, everybody. This is Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear. Mr. Cowley, how you doing? I'm just going to open up a window in here. A little bit of that fall breeze in here. There we go. You having fun, Rebecca?
I'm having a blast. This is so much fun.
Yes, your hair looks magnificent tonight, by the way.
It's that Scotch Irish.
All right, everybody, let's make nice comments on how good Rebecca's hair looks tonight. That'll start coming down the pike here in a second here.
Somebody commented in the chat that Hardcastle was a cool name. Well, the Hardcastles come from Yorkshire, which is a very esoteric area of England.
Ms. Mary says your hair is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Mary has nice hair too. Benno, amazing hair.
Do you all get together at any time, or?
No, these are just people from all around the world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
No, but do you ever have a time when they're all on the screen with you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I have a very strict presentation to do for my radio stations. So, and so I have to be able to, stick to the format of what I do.
You know, hair's kind of an antenna too.
Birthday girl says your hair is a legend.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm getting embarrassed enough.
And Filth Benno also says you have amazing hair as well. And that's for you hair.
Thanks, Baked Beano. I appreciate it.
Is Benno or Beano?
Beano, because it rhymes with beans, and his nickname is apparently Baked Beano.
In there, which makes it a soft end. But then again, you're a guy who pronounces foyer, so it doesn't surprise you.
You could even ask him.
What's your cat's name?
The gray one is Gargoyle.
Ooh,
He's my shadow.
nice.
Where's the cat cam?
I have to use another computer for that one, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see.
But I can guarantee you right now there's a gargoyle to my left.
Oh, yeah. Where's the gremlin?
He's downstairs with his mom.
If hair is an antenna, imagine what Dave's beard does.
Yeah. Good
Dave's
point.
beard is the SETI of beards.
Uh-huh. Oh, there's Alaska's greatest athlete. How you doing, my dear? You know what I got coming for me, Dirty Filth?
Some hollyhock seeds?
No.
Yes.
I have a Boston cream donut coming.
Ooh, Boston cream.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Is your wife
That's
bringing
way
you
better
that? Is
than
that
an
what the
Nanaimo
phone call's about?
Yeah. Pretty pumped right now. I'm not gonna lie. I could use a good donut right now. Maybe I'll show off the donut in the next half hour. We got about a minute to go here. We're just timing out for our radio stations.
And then I go back to no swearing mode.
Yeah, you filthy animal.
Oh, it's hard. The cats claw you and you can't help but swear. Oh, here he comes again. Hello, Mr. Gargoyle. Yeah, it's out of control.
All right, we got about 27 seconds. Thank you to Alaska's greatest athlete and T-Bone, my man, for those super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, give a thumbs up, because it does help with the algorithms. It really does. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. I put some new logos up, so we do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And here we go, everybody. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show and our others, check out our free archives. They're always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. The only thing I want in return is hit subscribe or follow. That's it. Maybe tell a friend or 2 or 10. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is here. Exoconsciousness.com is her website as we start to learn right now how we can tame our mind and make it one with the universe in a move of Zen, Chi, and alien contact. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here tonight. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Interesting conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How did you start to put the pieces together like a puzzle for learning about exoconsciousness?
Well, as I was beginning to say, during that time when I was in Fountain Hills in that experiencer group, I was reading a lot of books, and I'd always read, and still am an avid reader, but I was beginning to put all the pieces together, and things were coming back into my life that I had experienced as a child. So there's kind of the cyclical nature to contact. And for example, I would be in bed at night and an orb would show up in my room, go across my room, squealing, absolutely squealing in my ear to wake me up. I'd wake up, I'd look up at the ceiling, and these symbols would be pushed down from my ceiling. And I would be telepathically told to read the symbols, remember the symbols, read the symbols. And I think what was happening was I was getting re-educated again from my childhood. So they were bringing it all back circular back to me. So I would, remember what had happened when I was a child and I was on the craft and I was under the ground, because the reptilians showed up too. And I just had this massive onslaught of beings, the mantis beings, tall whites, Nordics, grays, just one after the next coming in and doing this visitation. So as I said, I was a single mom, so I was in bed one morning and I had to get up and get everybody ready for school. So it's like I had to go to work, the kids had to go to school, I had to pack the lunches, make sure everybody got to school on time. And I had one of those alarm clocks, radio alarm clocks, and it had one of those snooze buttons on it. And I remember I hit the snooze button and I thought, okay, 5 more minutes. I'm just going to sleep 5 more minutes. I hit the snooze button, fell back on my pillow. And as my head hit that pillow, then that word exoconsciousness came into my body. It didn't come into my head like a download. It came in through my entire body. And I was just gifted with that word. And I knew that that's what I needed to do. I needed to work with that term. And so I lived in Phoenix at the time. And in 1997 was the Phoenix Lights. So I was in this experiencer group. Everybody's calling each other, going out and seeing the Phoenix Lights. Guess what? I don't get a phone call. Nobody calls me. I don't see the Phoenix Lights. And I knew then that I was supposed to be a consciousness researcher.
What were you doing before that?
Before I became a consciousness researcher?
Yes.
For about 15 years, I was an interfaith chaplain at actually Wright State University next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base that ran all the Blue Book programs.
So as you decided to go down this path with exoconsciousness, the one thing that kind of triggered me when you said that was symbols. I actually got downloaded with a symbol. Oh goodness. 3-4 years ago now. And it was a diamond, like a Herkimer diamond. And then like long horns coming up from it. But the horns were not touching the diamond. And the weird part about it, I got to tell you this story for you to understand because it's so weird. I'm not sure if you know Olaf Phillips or not.
No.
But good friend of mine. And here we were, I'm in bed. And all of a sudden, 3:30 in the morning, my phone rings. And it's Olaf. And I answer it. I'm like, hello, Olaf? And the phone goes, click. And so I call, or no, then the phone immediately rings again. Something, and maybe he butt dialed me. I don't know. And the phone rings again and goes, click. So I call Olaf back, goes to his voicemail. The phone calls me back. And all of a sudden I hear doo, doo, doo. And then my entire mind starts seeing these Herkimer diamonds with these horns coming off of it. But they're not horns. They're like straight lines. I describe them as horns because that's what they look like. But I know they're not horns. And they're coming in every color of the rainbow. And they're passing this way and like across my brain. It's like they're scattered. And there's a blue one that absolutely mesmerized me because it looked like the blue on the first UFO I ever saw on the ground. And I'm like, okay, tell me the story. What am I supposed to learn here? What's going on? And it started to fade out. I was like, no, don't fade out. We're learning here right now. You woke me up at 3:30 in the morning by this. You need to keep going. It never did, but I have that shape etched in my head. I'm going to get a tattoo of it one of these days. I'm going to get a tattoo of it in the blue. The next morning, about 11:30, I get a call from Olaf Phillips, and he says to me, I never called you. And I said, what do you mean you never called me? He goes, Dave, my phone has no record of calling you. Because I think I had sent him a text message that night. Are you okay? What's going on? Somebody gets a hold of you at 3:30 in the morning and keeps calling you multiple times. You get a little worried. And he's like, I never called you. And I went, okay. So I screenshotted the photo of when his phone called me, and it was 3:33 a.m. Which is
auspicious number.
Numerology a 9, right? And it was one of the weirdest things that ever happened. So when you talk about symbols, I get that. I never got it before, but I get it now. Mm-hmm. And what do these symbols mean? What are they trying to tell us?
I'm going to define exoconsciousness. So exoconsciousness, by definition for us, is the innate human ability. So everybody's got it. It's the innate human ability to communicate, contact and co-create with extraterrestrials, multidimensionals, and spiritual beings. So I think what you're talking about with the symbols and what I was given a tutorial in at least twice in my life was that these symbols carry a frequency that we identify with either consciously or unconsciously, but they've been placed in our field, almost like placed in our field. So they may have a plasma quality to them, I think, like a plasma science quality to them, because DNA is plasma. There's a lot of plasma qualities in DNA. DNA is intelligent. Plasma is intelligent. DNA is self-assembling. Plasma is self-assembling. Symbols are certainly self-assembling. So I think there's some kind of aspect to that in terms of the symbols and how we read them. So frequency, intelligent, self-assembling, transmitting some kind of, when you said you have these things coming up off of the diamond, that sounds like antenna to me.
Well, the audience on the radio won't be able to hear this, but for our YouTube audience, that's
beautiful.
Kind of like a diamond. It looks like a necklace, to be honest. Like the diamond looks like a pendant.
Or it could be a couple things. It could be something in your brain. It could be an implant that has an antenna quality to it. Mm-hmm. And it's a possibility that the symbols you receive and I receive and others who are contactees, and once again, everybody has that innate ability. Those may be frequencies that we are carrying in our body somehow. They don't have to be, a metal implant that goes off every time you go through the TSA at the airport. It could be something very different than that. And it could be connecting us, and we just don't have the science and the knowledge to know what it is.
As we open up our minds to try and expand them more towards a consciousness light, a lot of people will sit there and say, how do we do it? How do we get there? How do we enlighten ourselves to embrace the powers that we all have within us?
I think it starts pretty easy. I think it starts with believing that that's who you are. And I think that first step of believing that that's who you are leads you to begin to see things that heretofore had been unseen to you, and get information from nature or from other people or from downloads that heretofore were maybe ignored by you and not seen by you. It's funny. So I follow a scholar. His name's David A. Hughes. He left Cambridge University and he taught in a few other places. And during COVID, David said, I can't do this anymore. I have to speak out truth about what happened with COVID. And so he began to work independently. He's got a Substack, David A. Hughes, on that I highly recommend. And he developed a theory called omni-war, which is really a war that we're all going through right now, like COVID being one aspect of it, of an unseen force that we're all dealing with. And I think the more that we're dealing with, so I studied a lot about geoengineering. Those are, to a great extent, unseen forces. You go into mystery schools, that's all they do is talk about unseen forces. So I think as we're moving into this era of unseen forces, whether they're viruses or frequencies from HARP or body area networks that people talk about, genetic technology, all of that's unseen. I think that humans, in order to survive, will probably enrich and engage in their unseen abilities. And I think a lot of people will come online and be able to to see what they had not seen before, just to survive.
I always wonder about this question because, I don't really understand how the mind works. I don't think any of us really do. Even a lot of scientists probably struggle with that as well. But how do we have all of this going on, and where has it gone over the years if we all are said to have this innate ability to be able to astral project, to be able to use our consciousness to pick up signals, to pick up, intuition? I mean, we all have that intuitive being. I don't think a lot of us are actually, have the full antenna going up towards the sky to allow that signal to come through positively. So how do we train ourselves to open up? Because there's so much going on in life right now on a daily basis that people don't have time to turn their mind off, even when they're sleeping.
Well, yeah, there's studies about dream and hacking into dreams and that sort of thing. I think you pick your path. I don't think there's any one path to go. I think we're way, way, way beyond that. I think you pick your path. You pick meditation. You pick yoga. You pick talking to trees. You pick being in nature. You pick trying to communicate with Sasquatch. You kind of pick however it is. It could be something like you pick being a mother or a father and raising a child and getting this intimate relationship with a child or with a partner. I think it comes in various ways of being grounded. Some people look at the stars and go out at night and commune with that. Some people go to see E5s. I think that none of those are the best and none of those are the worst, and they all work. That's my opinion. They all work. And as that's expanding and growing ever larger, it's very interesting that we have, at the same time, in parallel step with our advancing and expanding consciousness, we have transhumanism and artificial intelligence, which is the opposite, which is, using electronics and artificial means to extend life or to extend our human abilities and to put us into what's called a closed system of cybernetics, which is AI and transhumanism. So I think there's always this, if you're on Earth, one of my friends, Nancy Duterte, she'd be a great guest for you. She always calls it like, pick your dance partner. Who's your dance partner? If you're on Earth and you're a human, and we are exoconscious humans, we're not walking around at some cosplay acting like we're ETs or whatever. We're humans, and we want to be the best, most expansive humans that we can be. And I think that if you're an expansive human, you're going to become more and more aware that there are forces on the Earth that have been here a long time that have shut down a lot of what we are now developing because we need to do it to survive. And maybe we didn't need it before to survive. Yeah. As a planet and as a civilization.
Okay. Are we at the point now where, whether it's spiritually or extraterrestrially, that they want us to be able to pick up this type of signal?
I'm increasingly, Dave, believing that there's a couple things happening right now. I think exoconscious humans are expanding their consciousness and their experiences and their awareness of what's happening. And at the same time, I think there are forces on the Earth that want to shut that down and want to control it and want to put it into an engineered system where we're all being controlled. And I think that, my last book was Exoconscious Humans, Will Free Will Survive in an Increasingly Non-Human World? So it's basically, I looked at transhumanism and I looked at exoconscious humans, and I compared the two. And it's become pretty obvious to me. It was obvious to me right away. It kind of threw me into a trauma spin that the transhumans really wanted to control everything, including the ETs, including religion, including our spiritual self, including our soul. They wanted to control and gather everything into their artificial system, including ETs. And I think what's happened, I think that's happened before, probably, maybe, you know, different times in civilizations that humans have tried to attempt this. It's always failed. Earth really, I mean, all this doom and, you know, the Earth is going to go extinct and all of this. The Earth always survives. I don't care if it's Noah or who it is, you know, these ancient flood narratives, that the Earth still survives. Humans still survive. And I think that there's very much, they want to control ET. They see humans, ET, as a threat. So they just invert the message and they say, oh, ET's going to attack you. 3-Eye Atlas is coming in. Be careful. It's going to attack you. It's going to attack Earth. So they just invert what they're actually doing and act like it's going to destroy the humans. So it's just an old story. It's an old attempt at power. It's going to fail. It's already failing, quite frankly.
Are there ET species that want to use the mind consciousness program in order to control who and what we are on this planet?
I think that's been going on a long time. I mean, contactees have certainly experienced that. That's why for Exoconscious Humans, we believe in a few things. Number one, we believe that when you have a contact experience, you learn to emotionally integrate it. So you're not living in trauma, you're not living in fear, you're not living in 24/7 anxiety. You're emotionally integrated and calm. So therefore, yoga, meditation, CE5s, communities, whatever you want to pick. The second thing is we believe in critical thinking and discernment. You were given reason and thinking for a reason. It's there to be used. So we use our discernment, we use our critical thinking. We also gather in communities because we gather in trusted communities that learn that. And then finally, we believe that as a human species that we have a peer-to-peer relationship with extraterrestrials. And we have a human sovereignty in that relationship. So it's not really a situation of being mind controlled or being genetically modified, but it's a situation that we as humans have the ability to say, no, I don't want that contact, or no, I don't want that genetic modification, or no, I don't want that relationship. And I think this may be probably the first time that sovereignty switch has been flipped by humans.
Is that where free will comes in?
I think free will is part of it. I think our natural innate thinking abilities, emotional abilities, mental abilities, spiritual abilities, I think all of those come into it. It's not just one thing, but we have a peer-to-peer relationship. And we talk a lot about in our exoconscious groups of if you don't want the contact, you say no. And you're left alone, always.
Interesting. Yet some people will claim that the free will sometimes does not work.
Well, a lot of people are now claiming that we live in a simulation and we don't have any free will. So there's nothing like convincing humans that they don't have any free will, right? You live in a simulation.
I don't.
And guess who tells us we live in a simulation?
I know.
All the video gamers, all the AI guys.
That's one I haven't really bought into just yet.
No.
Right? I just haven't bought into the whole simulation.
No, it's an AI worldview. So a simulation theory is really something called a closed loop. And that was really brought forth by a mathematician named John von Neumann. He's the one that came up with the closed loop cybernetics.
Right. On that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, Rebecca, because hard to believe we're already through an hour here. I got some big time questions coming up for Rebecca Hardcastle Wright on Exoconsciousness, her website, exoconsciousness.com. So let's make sure we tune on in for hour 2, coming up right after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Rebecca, we are clear. We got about 6 minutes. We're going to turn this over to Dirty Filth here so he can show us what he's making here. And we'll see you in a couple minutes, Rebecca.
Okay.
It's turned over to Dirty Filth now, everybody. Let me just zoom in on this sucker a little bit. Struggle. There we go. Here we are with my Patterson Gimlin Sasquatch photo. Well, it's not quite a photo, but it's a picture. Because today, I think it's like the, oh boy, what is it? The 50th anniversary or something? I think 1967 is when Patterson and Gimlin filmed the famous Sasquatch film. I'll just say film like 70 times there, Dirty Filth. But yes, so I figured I was going to do this one tonight because it's appropriate. It's also my pal's birthday, and Courtney, if you're listening, happy name day, my friend. I'm glad to have known you for like 20 plus years. Anyways, so here we have Sasquatch sauntering through the forest, and these damned humans with their cameras. It's like probably like 38 millimeter or something, if that's even a camera specification. Please feel free to prove me wrong otherwise, everybody. Unless, there he goes, sauntering through, and he gets busted. Poor guy. Actually, you know what? I was going to use orange, but I'm going to use yellow for the exclamations that he got seen. It's like, oh no! I've been seen by those humans. But, to be fair, they do say the Patterson Gimlin film that Sasquatch is female Sasquatch. Now, I'm not the authority on any of this stuff, and I'm just a casual observer, a tourist, if you will. And I would have to agree with him. And I didn't think really anything of it because I've never drawn like a female Sasquatch, so I may have to do up a lady Sasquatch. I mean, we already have Lady Nightcrawler. I mean, she's pretty cute looking. Look at her. Nice dress and everything. Oh, yeah. So, I think I may have to do that now. I do believe I'm going to have to add a Mrs. Sasquatch to my cartoon repertoire here. I don't think that she would join Mr. Bigfoot going out and stealing Saskatoon berry pies on a Friday from Grandma's windowsill, but you never know. She may actually be doing some wood knocks to have Grandma look out the door. And the secret for the cartoons for Grandma's windowsill and Grandma herself is you never get to see her. Because in my cartoon world, there's not really any humans. It's kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. You never get to see her. And speaking of Sasquatch, I have a... This is for my second book here, but here's Dave getting pampered by a Bigfoot. That's how Canadians get massages. They go to the massage parlor and the Bigfoot just whacks him in the spine a few times with a hockey stick. And yes, it is. It's covered by insurance. It's a Canadian thing. Trust me. I know I live here. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. And hello, Justice True Seeker and Melda. You know what? I'm not gonna be able to go through everybody within like 2 minutes here. So I would just like to say thanks for everybody for hanging out. And thanks for everybody for watching me on Saturdays. If you'd like to watch more Dirty Filth Draw cartoons and the cat camera, which is a new thing that I invented, patent pending. It's every Saturday at 3 p.m. Mountain or 2 p.m. Pacific time. Up on Spaced Out Radio, I draw cartoons. People get to ask me questions like, Dirty Filth, what's the best kind of pickle juice? And it's always garlic pickle juice. There's no other way around it. I'm still waiting for the day when Dave's chair moves. There's going to be a ghost one day that's going to jump down and sit in that sucker and just move it a little bit. Hello, the Jaquita. It's the Jaquita, by the way, Dave, as well. Baked Beano and the Jaquita.
What did you say?
It's the Jaquita, Dave, and Baked Beano.
Jaquita.
Nope.
It's not Jaquita.
I believe you're mistaken, sir.
You are just odd.
I know. Okay, I love you, Dave. Have
Love
a good
you,
night, everybody.
Bill. You're the best.
Have a
Thank
wonderful evening, Rebecca.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Wow. I love the sweat.
Thank you, Dirty Filth. Hello to Blue Cruise. Hello to Woo Poo. How you guys doing? Who else do we got that snuck in here? Maggie Shepard, how are you? And I think we're caught up here. Yeah, we're caught up. We are caught up. Thank you tonight to Creepypasta, T-Bone, my man, and Alaska's greatest athlete for the super chats. Greatly appreciated. If you have questions, don't forget to put them in capital letters. We'll try to get to them. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check them on out. Hi, Broken Shadow Feather. How are you? Hope you're enjoying tonight's show. We're coming back in 5 seconds, everybody. And here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Haver. Haver is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our guest, Rebecca Hardcastle Wright. She is the founder of Exoconsciousness.com if you want to check it on out. And we're going to learn how to open up our minds here so that way we could tune in, tap in to all things that we're not seeing on our current frequency. Rebecca, welcome back.
I would say that we in America, and part of it is because of the BRAIN Initiative that was such a big deal during the Bush 2 years. He started the BRAIN Initiative, and then Obama kicked off the Obama BRAIN Initiative. So it's been going on now for 25 years, and we keep focusing knowledge in our neural cortexes and neural biology. And in fact, I think to really become exoconscious, it has to be a whole body experience. You can't think yourself into it. Yeah, you have to use other parts of your body. You have to use your other bodies. You have to use your get to know your astral body, get to know your etheric body, and get to know your chakras, your meridians, your spine, your vagus nerve that calms you, your feet, your hands. All of that's involved in contact. It's a full body. It's a full on body experience. And you just, to link it right here in the brain, you're never going to get there. I mean, a lot of people, they spend a lot of time with intentions. Intentions are really a mental thing at its base. You really have to get your whole body into what it is that you want to accomplish. And sometimes, a lot of times, that involves moving your body. That's why, personally, I choose yoga. That's kind of my path, is the yoga path, because I like how it kind of lights up everything inside of you, inside of your body, and you move it. I mean, knowledge moves. Knowledge isn't stagnant. Energy isn't stagnant. It moves, and you have to move with it.
Does it start with meditation, or is it just more than that?
I think meditation's good. I think meditation's good because, at the base of meditation is that it's going to calm your mind. It's going to calm that, that monkey mind, that mind that talks all the time. And it's going to put you in altered states. I think meditation by and large is an altered state that you go into. But you could also go into altered states with hypnotherapy and breathing exercises and that sort of thing. So it's just kind of learning to, I think what that does is that switches off all of that ongoing chatter that's we're all subject to with social media, with
Right.
all the noise around us, because you need to switch
doing
off.
This in a quiet setting, or should we be doing it in a group setting?
I think both ways work. I guess I'm kind of impartial. So I've been running coaching groups for about 3 years now, Dave, and I just kind of felt like if I could gather a group of people who were really who wanted to talk about their contact, who wanted to emotionally integrate their contact, to learn about how to do that, to learn about how to discern things, to get together in a group discussion and discern. I think more and more you can do it on your own, but sometimes that kind of becomes an echo chamber. So I don't know. I'm a real advocate for groups. I think small groups work. So I run weekly coaching and all groups, and I also run monthly coaching of groups. So this past Saturday we had monthly coaching. I have a Substack, Rebecca Hardcastle Wright at Substack, and I run that through my Substack. And this past Saturday we had a long discussion on 3i Atlas and what it meant, and what the contactees in the community, how they felt about it. And I offered some information about Avi Loeb that I had. I'm a big researcher, so I dug up a lot of information about what his background was and sort of what he represented, which is very different than what you read on X or wherever. So I'm a community girl. I love it. I mean, I just being in a community, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like you get this kind of resonance going. And it's kind of like you with, reading the names. It's this wonderful feeling of, we're all on the same frequency. We're just like jiving together. We get what we're talking about. And it's just, I think you make momentous breakthroughs like that. I'm not saying you can't have, a Walden Pond moment and go out and live by yourself in a cabin and not have, or up in the Himalayas in a cave. But I think increasingly today it's about shared energy and moving that energy and information through your community.
As we open up our minds and gain consciousness for everything that we have and the powers that we be, the ability, that we have to do this. You mentioned on your website that this will create future open communication among species and intelligences, as creating a timeline of peace and health. How do we know when we're having that connection, that frequency, to tune into that? Because a lot of people may tune into that and say, how do I know this isn't just my imagination making this up, that I'm actually communicating with beings up in the stars or the spirits that walk among us?
Well, I think for most people, or many people, or I would say a large majority of experiencers that I've worked with over the years, they often go through the healing door. They go through the door of becoming a healer. And 9 times out of 10, the first thing they do is heal themselves. And so they go out into this field of consciousness. Maybe they've gone to doctors or whatever, and they for the first time go out in this field of consciousness and start to bring in information to heal themselves. And that's oftentimes people's first contact experience. They'll get visitations, maybe they'll go on a trip and then be in a hotel room, and a being will show up, a mantis being will show up and give them information about healing. I mean, I just hear these stories continually, and it's almost like the well that they've drawn from is their own illness, their own sickness, or their own needs. It could be mental sickness, it could be emotional sickness, it could be physical sickness, but they internally want to heal, and that's when the messages start tumbling and coming through.
Right. So do you think then when the messages that are coming through that we will have the ability to understand what they mean and where they're coming from?
Well, I think that's really why you need to be in a community. I mean, you can go online and ask ChatGPT what it means, or, look it up on Google. But there's, Dave, there's something really intimate about being in a community and just being vulnerable enough to say, I had this experience. Has anybody else had it? Or I've had, for example, last month, we did a long discussion on missing time, and people had, reoccurring missing times and not been able to understand them. And so we had a long conversation about what that meant and what people experienced and what the upshot of that was. And it was very meaningful to people. I think that's where the information begins to kind of when you're in a community, roots go down about that information. And people start emailing each other. Did you feel this? I felt this. What's going on here? I think it's a very, very, you're not going to get that from AI. And you might get some from a book, but there's something about exoconsciousness is subjective and experiential.
I love it. I love it. It's so interesting. You also put on your website, Living the Paranormal as Normal, joining groups that include exoconsciousness, near-death experiencers, psychics, mediums, remote viewers, energy workers, and healers. How do these all tie in with the mind?
Well, I think they're all experiences, paranormal experiences, or psychokinesis experiences, or remote viewing, or near-death experiences, download experiences. They're all psychic experiences, and there's really no, I would say, academic or religious place for us to go, and so we have to create our own place.
Where's that place? How do we know that place?
I created Exoconscious Coaching. I created the Substack and the Exoconscious community. I mean, there's a lot of other communities like that. Find the community you like and join it. But I think there's also, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if AI is causing it, but there's a definite bifurcation of timelines going on right now. And it's being engineered.
Who's engineering it?
Well, if you want to control everything, if you want to control all knowledge, you also want to control time, and you want to control space, and you want to control ETs.
So is it the ETs that are doing this, or is there a subspecies of humans that are doing this, or political? I don't
even think it's political. I think that there's probably one of the main driving forces. Have you heard of technocracy, Patrick Wood and technocracy?
No, I have not.
He's a fascinating man that studied the birth of technocracy or transhumanism in the late 1800s. It kind of came out of that eugenics, Malthusian, population control group of people that wanted to develop this utopian theory that they could kind of stamp on everybody. And in the 30s, it really took off. That transhuman, that kind of stream of transhumanism is actually economic. So it wasn't political, it was economic. So that brings us to, they're really the group that established the control grid that's going to, and the digital ID that's going to bring in central bank digital currency.
So basically it's fighting against the powers that be that want to, you know, bring in all the stuff that controls people and ties them all into sheep.
Yeah, I mean that's been going on for a long time. But the interesting thing I think about exoconsciousness is you look at these elite groups, some of them black magicians. I mean, let's face it, there's black magicians, and they're very, very powerful. They've, you know, infiltrated a lot of different high-level groups, and they you know, they do their spells and whatever, and so I think there's a need to control everything, and I don't know if this is stemming from people that have emotional needs to control or fear of dying. I mean, let's face it. Look at Silicon Valley. There's a massive fear of dying in Silicon Valley. I mean, let's live forever. And the beauty of dying is that you kind of wipe the slate clean. And if you can't wipe the slate clean, then, you know, you might want a saint to live forever, but you want a Hitler to live forever? I don't think so. So yeah, I think they have a fear of dying. I think they have a fear of their own mortality. I think they have a fear of being found out. Kind of like they're an imposter syndrome. They also have a fear of a power greater than themselves, whatever you call it, God, the soul, the spirit, the afterlife. They have a fear of that. They're not comfortable with it.
What happens when we finally connect?
Oh, I think we are connecting. So we're a post-disclosure group. The reason we call ourselves a post-disclosure group is we've already connected. Like I don't need Congressman Burleson or Colonel Nell or anybody in the ufology field and exopolitics or Richard Dolan or, you know, all these people that, you know, Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon. I don't need them to tell me about disclosure. We've already done that. We're already connected. They're just kind of having a show.
And I agree with you on that, because people who've already had the experience, they are already in the know of what is going on. If they've had contact, they already know that there's more to this than just what we see as a facade here on this planet. But for those who may not have had the ultimate experience, you know, how do we push that fold? How do we get to that point where we can look up and say, this is real? Because everybody's skeptical in something. What we deal with creates a lot more skeptics.
Well, that's why it's experiential. That's why you know, if you look at what's happening in ufology today, with the takeover by intelligence, military, and government, they wanted to push everything into nuts and bolts. Like, you got to have nuts and bolts, or, you know, you're not going to, you know, we're not going to convince anybody. Well, what's going to convince people are these small groups that are kind of grassroots and grow in strength and visibility. And eventually people start understanding that it's okay that they've had contact. There's very few contactees that feel comfortable going out into the world and telling everybody what's happened with them and what they know. But they can tell it in their groups, and those groups can grow. And I think that's a voice that's not going to be silenced. If anything, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. And the other thing I think would be important for your community to know is that we really emphasize co-creation. So I'm a believer that you can tell your story, and you can write a book like I did, or you could come on a podcast like yours and tell your story. And then what? And then what? So the next step for me is co-create something, make your download, make the information that you received, make it have an impact, make a tool, make an innovation, register a patent, write a book, team up with a group of scientists, do a peer-reviewed study, do something with it. You can't just keep telling your story. And the more that people branch out, like we wrote the Planetary Constitution, we got together, took about 3 or 4 months, we put it all together and we put it out there. And now it's a year old, and every year we're going to celebrate it. And every year it's going to get more and more visible. You have to do something. You can't just talk about your contact. And when we cross that bridge, there's no going back. There's no going back.
The problem is, are the people willing to accept the message? You're fighting an uphill battle.
I don't think so anymore. I think that, so when I worked with Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14, we were working with 0 point energy. And just about every scientist that we worked with was getting shut down. So some of them have been killed, some of them have been silenced, some of them have been ignored, some of them have been denied. So that was 2008 to 2016, 17, after he passed away. I have to say, 8 years later, it's a pretty different terrain out there. Everybody knows that there's alternative forms of energy. People know that. Right now, all the money that could be going to co-creations is getting sucked up into the control grid of AI. So, which data centers now, they say, are going to cost like $500 trillion or something. So everything's, all the money, all the innovation is being sucked into this closed circuit system that's really not meeting expectations. So I do think that there's going to be a revolt against that. It's already, Bill Gates is already pulling back funding for it, which is a major step. So I think a lot of that money, that those innovative ideas, I think they're going to be going into things like co-creations, consciousness technology. There's a man in our group, Nick Prestera. He created a consciousness technology called the Beacon, and we all launched it. It's on our YouTube channel. People are doing these things. I worked with a man, he just recently passed away, named Lee Gertis, that got all kinds of downloads and contact. And he created something called Saraset, which was a thing where your brain, for trauma patients, where your brain looked at your brain and healed itself. Those things don't just come out of nowhere. There's all kinds of things being seeded right now. It's not an uphill battle. That's why I think it's got to be in a community.
We got a minute to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We talk about open communication and, freedom of expression and manifesting contact. Is this something that we should do? Are there beings out there that are wanting us to take that next spiritual step, to be among them?
I think you got to pull it back into humans. What do the humans want? What do the humans want? And how are they going to proceed? If we inside of us believe that we have cosmic consciousness, which I believe we do, then we're the ones that have to initiate. We're the peer-to-peer.
Where does that start, though? Because that's what people look to their government officials for.
It's not going to start there, that's for sure. I lived in DC for 6 years. It's not going to start there. They have other priorities. They serve other purposes in life. They're there to collect your taxes and send you your Social Security and make sure your roads work and, make sure that people aren't being fraudulent in their trades with the FCC. They've got a different role. Their role is not to have contact. That's our role. I respect their role. Yeah, the military, the government, the intel. That's not my role. I have my role. And it's
Thank
up to me to be respected for it.
I hear you on that. And I don't know if it's possible. I don't want to be skeptical of it, but I'm hesitant. Can we use
But
the
it'll be
term-
fun. It's fun to try.
Oh, I understand that. And it's worth trying. Lord knows I've done it enough. On a personal level, I would recommend it to anybody. But I also try and see the bigger picture as well.
Yeah.
Rebecca, hold on right there. We're going to get to some audience questions when we come back for the next half.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. We are clear.
You've
Yay,
got
us.
quite the media empire here.
I wish.
Oh, you do. Look at all the things you have.
In what way? What are you looking
Oh,
at?
you've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube, you've got a TikTok, you've got a community. You're doing all kinds of creative things. It's a little media empire.
I also barbecue a good steak too.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you've really done well. It's impressive.
It would be, thank you. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
very humbled to hear that from you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a piece of work. I wish it would be so much more if I had the ability to do this full time. Having to work a daytime job to subsidize the nighttime job, it's difficult at times. Like last night, I had so much to do, but I was just so exhausted from the weekend, in working on the show on Saturday, and then taking the time to go out to Flight 21 yesterday and get home. And literally, I'm sitting in my studio. It's about 9:20 in the evening, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm exhausted. Like I literally heard this voice in my head saying, Dave, you're exhausted. Go to bed.
What day was that?
Yesterday.
Sunday. I had that same experience on Sunday.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. I was just like I had 2 lead feet.
Yeah.
I wonder if part of it's the coronal mass ejections that have been coming in.
I don't know, but I know that normally I get to bed around 1:00 in the morning every night.
Mm-hmm.
And about every 5 to 6 months, I crash hard early.
Yeah.
And that was my day.
Yeah.
I even took like a half an hour shower this morning.
Yeah, I get it. I think there's so much coming in right now through the media, through the coronal mass ejections. And by the way, Susan Manwich will be a really good guest on your show also, because she's getting her PhD in Germany on the coronal mass ejections and how they affect our physical body and our emotional body. She'd be a really good guest. So I think we have to really tend to our body in this and take care of ourselves. And I do believe that, this is really impressive what you've done, how you're managing all this. I'm very impressed by it. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. It will. I'm working on something. I've got a few irons in the fire right now with some things, and if I can get it all to work, it will be pretty amazing.
I love that.
I shouldn't say if, it's more like when.
Oh yeah, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. So I've got some good pieces in place right now.
We got great pieces in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how many radio shows like this fail?
Yes. The problem is when one fails, about 13 more pop up.
Yeah, but regardless, regardless, I think that this your stability and your dedication and your discipline, I don't know. I'm kind of the same way. I really believe that in the end that counts for something, that people sense that.
The hard part for me is twofold. Number one is time, and number two with the extension and the power of social media and algorithms and creating videos and everything. Like, I would never be able to sleep, and my daytime job, I'm very thankful for it. I'm blessed with what I do, but the ownership now that I work for doesn't allow me the time to put into this as the previous ownership did. So it's tougher on me. It's more mentally exhausting.
Right.
So we're coming back here in about 5 seconds, but thank you for your kind words.
You're welcome. And I'm there with you. I get
Here we
it.
go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio. Hard to believe we're already halfway through. This one's cruising on by. My name is Dave Scott. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright is our guest. We're going to get to her momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright, her website, Exoconsciousness.com, as we look to turn the human mind into an antenna for all consciousness to come on into your body and take over and expand your mind. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here tonight. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's been a pleasure every minute. And thank you for inviting me into your community. It's wonderful.
No problem. We love having you here. You can come back too.
Oh, okay.
T-Bone is asking, to kick off the audience questions, what is your take on the telepathy tapes?
I'm of a divided opinion on the telepathy tapes, T-Bone. Thank you for asking the question. If you want to look up my Substack, Rebecca Hardcastle Wright at Substack, I wrote an extensive Substack on the telepathy tapes and examined the woman who brought forth, not Kai Dickens, but what's the woman that brought forth the telepathy tapes? I'm just blanking on her name right now. Diane Powell. And I'm like, what's going on here? So one of the things I looked at, T-Bone, was I love to look at historical timelines, like how are things merging in a timeline? And one of the things I realized was that that RFK's movement had really been a grassroots movement, kind of what Dave and I were talking about earlier, that it was a grassroots movement of mothers whose children were injured with vaccines or, whatever. But it was really the mothers that said, we have to handle this situation. And they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then RFK came forward to try to address more scientific studies of what's happening. And so during that time that RFK was coming on board, that was in November 2024. And he was December 2024. And he was really coming out hard about vaccines, and we're going to find the solution to autism. And autism is like, some places like in California, is one in like 12 kids now. Nationwide, I think it's 1 in 32. It's amazing. And, of course, they give all the reasons for that. But if you've ever worked in education, which I have, and, really truly autistic children, they do not have an easy life, nor do their parents. It's a 24/7, very, very difficult and challenging life. And so I looked at where RFK was getting all of this pushback by all the mainstream media up until I think it was Christmas. So December 24th, 2024, all this pushback, vaccines are good. Autism is fine. There's no problem. And then on January 3rd, boom, in-rules telepathy tapes, which put an absolute spin on autism, that these children had all these psychic abilities and they go to the hill and all of this. Well, my personal opinion is all children have psychic abilities, not just autistic children. All children have psychic abilities, number one. And number two, I started looking at her medical background, and she came out of Johns Hopkins University. Johns Hopkins is very, very closely tied to the government and was involved in a lot of MK Ultra type scientific work. And she had also worked with people at Johns Hopkins and around the nation, scientists that had actually written books that said, there is no link between autism and vaccines. There is no link, on and on and on, proving. And so I kind of wonder whether or not, I don't know who paid for her and Kai Dickens to come out, but, how does someone come out of nowhere? Because Dave and I know how difficult the algorithms are. You don't come out of nowhere and end up number one on Spotify. There's something else. There's something else going on. I'll just say that. So I think the something else was that she was there as a diversion from the vaccine debate. But as I said, I really go into it in depth on my Substack. That was actually part of a psionics series that I wrote, and I wrote a whole one that's like a 5-part Substack series, and I wrote a whole section on the telepathy tape. So once again, my opinion is, my husband and I have 8 children together. So he has 4 and I have 4. So I know a little bit about kids, and we have a whole lot of grandchildren as a result of those 8 kids. So it's a blended family. So I just want to say every kid's telepathic.
Very true. And I think parents, to that extent, are very telepathic with their children as well. And I think that's something that telepathy tapes kind of bring out, because, it's one of those things where I remember, I'm a dad. I've had, 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall, like, I could be at one end of Walmart, looking at the sports section. And then, on the other end, I could hear my son or my daughter cry as an infant. And you immediately recognize, that's your child that is, in a little bit of distress or whatever it may be. Maybe they fell or whatever it may be. And you shouldn't be able to know. You shouldn't know. There's number of kids in there. Could have been any of them, but darn well that's your kid. Now you leave what you're doing and you go help them. And there's so much of that goes on that we just don't pick up on. It's amazing. Let's go to Polly here. Does an organ implant change the planetary ethics of your timeline?
Implants in terms of like a heart implant? Is that what she means?
I would assume she means like an alien implant.
Oh, an alien implant. Oh, okay. No, I think there's various implants. I think a lot of implants are frequency based, like we kind of talked about earlier. I don't think they're metal. I don't think they're metamaterials. I think they're really frequency implants. And I think that probably, so in our group, when we talk about implants, we talk about the fact of, once an implant is discovered, oftentimes within the group, the person who received the implant will come to the realization that they had some kind of previous agreement that they would receive this implant. that they were somehow connected to these species. So I would say an organ implant as an alien implant would probably enhance the planetary ethics. It would, once the science goes into that, it would be a way of saying, we really do have cosmic consciousness. We really do have this frequency communication between us and extraterrestrials.
Let's move to another question. Let's go next to Pilgrim here. Hi, Rebecca. Your thoughts about everybody having a soul?
Absolutely. Absolutely categorically. And I think that with the rise, from, I would say the 90s, the rise in spirituality from the 90s. I know Carolyn Mace wrote a book back in the 90s about how spirituality and religion were two different things. So I have a degree in Master of Divinity. I have a degree in philosophical theology, so kind of philosophy and theology. But yeah, that's a constant in humans. That's a wonderful gift of humans. I think that there's also an empowerment of the soul that we have as more and more people are doing hypnotherapy, they're doing past life regression, they're getting in touch with maybe aspects of their soul that they've never looked at before. I had the privilege of going to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts here in Phoenix, and I took all the hypnotherapy courses and all the past life regression courses. And, it's a wonderful journey to uncover your past lives, because it gives you a real way of looking into that soul, that the well of your soul that dwells within you. And you can see parts of yourself and how you're expressing it today that comes directly from your soul. I think the soul is also energized by spirit. So I think the soul it's not just kind of this a lifeless stamp that we have, but I think a soul really moves in your life with you and brings you information. And it's really a miraculous thing. I do worry about the experiments that were done during the Middle East war, when they were bringing the quote terrorists in, and they were examining what's an extreme terrorist, what's an extreme religious person. And I think they've done a lot of mind control experiments, brain experiments with people who have extreme religious views in order to control them. So I think there's kind of been this sort of bifurcation and control between, wanting to control religion in order to capture the soul. But I think even if a lot of people say, like Rudolf Steiner, I don't know if you're familiar with Rudolf Steiner. Somebody said something about Waldorf schools here. So Rudolf Steiner, maintained harmonic forces were coming in, and they were going to, capture humans, and it was really, really erudite about the spiritual significance of that. And that they would be trapped in this eighth sphere, and in the eighth sphere, their soul would be captured, and it would keep reincarnating as a kind of a hybrid human machine on Earth, and their soul would be disempowered through that. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how much of that's true. I love Rudolf Steiner, but he never had a footnote in his life. So you never knew where anything came from. So yeah, I think the soul is something that is permanent. I think it's an energy. I think it moves with us. And I think every day of our life, every decision we make, we're adding to that soul when we're enlivening it.
All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go to Marie here. What is your opinion on psychic abilities?
I think they're wonderful. I lump all psychic abilities into something I called psychic intelligence. And that's using your psychic abilities as an intelligence to actually make decisions in your life. And I think it's a wonderful gift that we all have, and we need to learn to use it more. And I love something as simple as learning how to bend a spoon, or psychokinesis, or ESP. I work with a lot of people that are remote viewers. I think all of those psychic abilities are amazing, and we need more of them. And we need more of them now because of what, just to track back to what I was talking about earlier, there's so many, quote, unseen forces in the world today that are not in the best interest of humans. And if you don't have psychic ability, then you can't really see what the unseen forces are. So I think the stronger your psychic abilities, whichever ones you want to increase your ability in, I think you'll be better off to navigate through life.
Just let them happen. Let them happen. It's that easy. Let's go to T-Bone here. What part do you think the Bible plays, in your opinion, with consciousness?
Well, I think there wouldn't be any Bible if there weren't witnesses. And a witness is subjective. So the Bible is really nothing more than a text of subjective experiences that people had. The Bible is not about experiments. The Bible's not about registering a patent. The Bible's not about a peer-reviewed study. The Bible's not about material science. The Bible is a group of witnesses that witness some kind of a spiritual awakening. And that's exoconsciousness.
All right, let's move
And
on.
I also want to add that there's a lot of people in our group that come in as spiritual experiencers. Like they've seen Jesus, or they've seen Buddha, or they've seen Mary. There's a lot of people that come in through that spiritual door.
Let's go to Ange here in Australia. Do you believe the soul can be captured and transferred to other containers as in bodysuits?
I think Angie's talking about the walk-in phenomenon here.
Yes.
Where, I'm good friends with Sheila Seppi, who's done a lot of work on walk-ins. Once again, I think that's a prior soul agreement that they do that. But yeah, I think that's possible.
All right, moving on.
I would recommend Sheila's book on that. She'd be a really good guest too.
Let's go to Mike here.
I can't be political, okay?
Yeah, we're not getting politics tonight. No political questions. Thank you very much. Let's go to Polly here. What's the purpose of using our human empathy for mented or little gray hybridization programs?
Well, I think that kind of goes that once again, you're going back to human sovereignty. Do you want to be a hybrid, or do you not want to be a hybrid? That's up to you. You can say yes or no to that. I personally don't want to be a hybrid. I want to be a human.
And being a human's kind of cool.
Being a human's so cool, and we don't know very much about it. But then again, I mean, if you have some kind of soul contract that you want to be in a hybridization program, then yeah. But you, as a sovereign human, need to make that decision and have to be discerning and think critically about that.
Well, I think, though, that people are too busy. We're always on the go. And when we do have time, we're not taking advantage of it in order to relax ourselves, to see what else is out there. I mean, if we have time to relax, most of the time we're doing something that would be construed as lazy. Maybe watching TV, maybe even reading a book, or doing something that is unproductive. And so trying to, like, even with myself, if I use myself as an example, my mind is always going. I'll be sitting there every day, like, example, listening to a sports game on television, whether it's football or baseball or hockey. But in the meantime, I'm playing a game on my phone, or I'm scrolling through Facebook at the exact same time. And I'm multitasking to keep my brain going. We don't take enough time to shut our brain off because we're almost afraid now that if it slows down, the world might stop and we could fall off the edge.
That's fear. That's anxious. That's anxiety.
Oh yes, huge.
Yeah, it's just
Especially in dating.
anxiety. Yeah. I would say that, so I woke up this morning, I had an hour and a half conversation with a friend, and I had a vivid dream about something, and she had read a book about the exact topic. And she had just finished that book last night. So we obviously had met on some astral plane, and it was a pretty heavy topic, I have to say. But it was one of those topics that everything just fell into place for me. And it made a lot of sense. And so we talked for about an hour and a half. And then I said to her, I gotta go get a shower. I'm gonna go to the gym. I have to move this information through my body. And every day I go to the gym. Every day I work out. Every day I move. I'm a real, like you, I'm a real cerebral kind of person. I have lots of ideas. I do lots of research. And every day I go to that gym and I get on that mat and I do some kind of workout for an hour. And I have to turn, and I take a class. So I have to turn my head off, because if I let my brain go somewhere, I won't know what the instructor's telling me to do. So I have to keep it, stay in my body. But at the same time, I'm moving that energy.
We have 3 minutes to go here. And I want to know what your final message is for the audience tonight who wants to take on this mind-blowing expansion to try and allow themselves to see what the mind's potential is.
I would say, number one, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself and trust yourself. And be patient. Be patient with yourself. The more anxious you get, the more impatient you get, the more harsh you get with yourself, the more you're going to shut down your psychic abilities and your contact. I would also say, find a group, find a trusted community where you can share openly and honestly what you know, and allow yourself to sort of lean into that community and let their energy also guide you. And I would say, learn to set boundaries, learn to have discretion, learn to have discernment and critical thinking, because this is a big topic. And there's a lot of tricksters out there. And you're the ultimate judge and jury and definitive answer as to how and when you participate.
Where can people sign up for your courses?
I don't really have any courses. I just, most things come through my Substack, Rebecca Hardcastle Wright. Our YouTube channel is Exoconscious Humans. I run a monthly coaching group, and I'm kind of an informational type person. I push out information and run these coaching groups. So exoconsciousness.com has all the information about my coaching groups. I also do one-on-one counseling and coaching.
I think that's wonderful. You know what? It's hard to believe this 2 hours just flew on by with you.
It was so fun.
What can people find on your website?
Oh, they'll find my coaching. They'll find the books I wrote. They'll find our YouTube. They'll find our Planetary Constitution. I would ask everybody to click on the Planetary Constitution and read that Planetary Constitution. It is beautiful. It gives contactees a place in the space program.
And it's always good to be in that field of mind where you have a place where everybody can go. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor,
Yeah.
whatever you are, you can go in there and explore it for yourself. Rebecca, I want to say a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. been an absolute pleasure to have you back on. Hopefully we did
Been a
enough that you will
blast.
want to come back on
I'd
again.
love to come back. Thank you.
That would be wonderful. I know our audience would love it too. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with a creepy story. Then the Wizard is back for what we call the UFO report. Josh Rutledge jumping on in to kick off his week on the show. This is Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, Rebecca. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun.
I had a blast. Thank you. It's really, really fun.
You're welcome. We'll do it
You have a
again.
great show. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're kind of like me. We sort of throw these seeds out there and we just never know where they're going to land.
True. Well, hopefully mine lands in the lap of Sasquatch one day soon. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We
And
will do
best
this
wishes on everything.
Thank you. You're a blessed heart. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright, everybody. I'll be right back. All right, let's bring in the wizard. Say hello to him. Thank you, Walter. Appreciate that. Walter saying, Dave, SOR is on a roll with great shows. We got another great week coming up here as well. Oh, listen to the wizard move that microphone around.
I didn't hear anything.
We heard it all, man. We heard it all. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, man. How are you?
I am great, man. I've had a good night. Good day.
Yep.
Probably because I actually slept 9.5 hours, but you know.
That'll do it.
Yeah. That's a rarity for me.
Yeah, but you know when you need it, your body lets you know.
Oh, yeah. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that, my man. We're coming back in 16 seconds. Thank you to Maggie, Creepypasta, Alaska's greatest athlete, and the Blue Jays fan, T-Bone, my man. Thank you for the love tonight. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Swamp Dweller and the Wizard coming up momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Haver. Haver is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. The night is late, and I'm growing weary. The past few weeks, I've heard howling in the late night hours. I've watched as livestock goes missing or is found torn open. There are rumors spreading and fear that is growing among townsfolk. So I walk now, hunting, searching for whatever is doing the killing. Now, however, the matter is of more important sort. You see, last night we found little Beth Sanders with her face eaten off, her body torn open and in the middle of a street. The poor girl was just taking out the trash when she was attacked. The parents came running naturally, but they said in the few seconds it took to hear her screams and the howling, they'd open the front door in time to see their little girl screaming and being dragged into the darkness. She was only 11 years old, and the fear in the eye she had left said it all. My name is Job Anderson. I'm a local hunter here in Michigan. I volunteered to hunt this monster that killed Beth and many of the livestock around these parts. In my search for this thing, I found evidence that suggests that it lives in the woods. I imagine Beth was only partially devoured because of all the ruckus from the town when she went screaming into the darkness. This is all speculation, but since this thing started harassing the town, our livestock numbers have drastically dwindled. I don't know if it attacked Beth because she happened to be there or it did so out of necessity for food, but it was vicious. Local authorities are keeping an eye out on things tonight as well, but none of them have come out to join my hunt just yet. Walking the path where Beth was dragged and ultimately found, I could still see bits of blood in the street that eventually lead off towards the woods. The further I head in, however, the less evidence I find of any sort of animal at all. I spend an hour out here before I finally find some prints in the snow. They look like a dog or a wolf's foot, but they appear to be headed back into town, and they look fresh. That's when I hear the sound of gunfire and screaming in the distance. Quickly, I turn around and head back to town. By the time I reach the town, however, there's blood all over the street and sheriff's vehicles abandoned in the roadways. Quickly, I follow the trail of blood into the darkened alleys of a small town. It isn't long before I came upon the body of an already dead sheriff, their insides ripped open and torn through. It was Sheriff Williams, a man who'd been with the sheriff's office for 22 years. His body was ripped in half, a look of horror on his dead face. Jesus, I thought to myself, what the heck could have done this? Gunfire rang out farther ahead and I rushed forward until I heard a growling, then a howling, followed by a woman's screams. I arrived in time to see blood, which went up to a bank, before going up and headed back down into the main street to find bodies everywhere. Gun shells were just as numerous. There was blood and organs all over the street. There were women and men in sheriff's uniforms strewn everywhere. I was in shock and terror at this point, as I gazed at the side of one of the vehicles.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. You got thousands of stories just like that to choose from. It's time for the UFO report. Here's the wizard. Well, it's time for the wizard. It's always good to have Josh Rutledge here on the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Fantastic.
I have one announcement, and then we're going to get into two stories that I need to talk to you about before we get to the
Okay.
announcement number one. As I mentioned just a couple of weeks ago, we are going to be hosting what we call Caribou Con up here next September 18th to 20th. And very, very happy to announce to people who want to come, because tickets will be going on sale very, very soon at cariboucon.com. That's CARIBOO CON.com. Grant Cameron is going to be our featured speaker of the event.
Wow.
I talked to Grant Cameron. He'll be a guest later this week. Grant Cameron will be our featured keynote speaker. He's going to come up to the Caribou region. He's going to come a couple days early so I can take him out to Flight 21 and have some fun out there looking for UFOs and aliens. And we're going to have a great time with that. So we got more announcements coming up on people who will be speaking here very soon. But I was just so excited to be able to say that Grant Cameron is going to be joining us. And I can't wait to get tickets on sale. So all of you in Spaced Out Radio Land can plan a trip up here to the Caribou region on September 18th through 20th, 2026. I want to see all of you up here. I do.
Yeah, if you need a passport, start the process now.
Yeah, right. If you need that passport or if you're driving, you just need an enhanced driver's license to get across. And if you're coming in from the States, do not bring your pointy sticks with you. Leave them at the border. They have storage there at the border because you will not get across the border carrying pointy sticks. Just a reminder to our American friends. But I want to see a bunch of you up here. I really do. And I'm trying to make this great with some guests, and adding Grant Cameron. Well, that's a steal for us. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, good grab. I got to see him speak about a year and a half ago. He's an amazing speaker, has a lot of great information that he passes along. Yeah, it'll be great. I mean, if he's no Josh Rutledge, but he's no woo wizard.
I know. You know what? We're keeping it close to BC and around BC this year. So I know Brent Thomas, we call him B. Arthur because he has such a golden voice, will be up here for it. But he lives at the northern part of Idaho. So he's just a quick trip across the border. Jake Rice is probably going to come up and Lee Strauss from Washington State. Of course, Lee is part of Spaced Out Radio, and Jake helps our good buddy Merle with his paranormal videos. So it's just something that we're gonna do first time around. We got to see how it turns out, and then year number 2 we're going to try and expand it a little bit more, but we want to make it an annual event.
Yeah,
to show off the paranormal side of our community, which is really cool.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Now, let's get to there's 2 stories I want to talk about.
Okay.
Neither are UFO related.
All right.
I don't know why I'm so excited about this, man, but I really hope that over the next few nights that people take the opportunity to go outside, look up towards the Big Dipper at night, because Comet Lemon is going to be flying by. It's going to be able to be seen by the naked eye. So you'll be able to look up and see it. This comet comes around every 1,325 years. This is the only time in our lifetimes that we're going to see this comet. And I don't know what geeks me out about this. I mean, I'm not a big space exploration guy. I mean, sure, it'd be cool to go to Mars. I like UFOs and everything like that. But just something about seeing a comet flying on by, just sitting there in the sky, like it's like a blip on a screen that one moment it's there and a few days later it's gone, And I don't know. I'm kind of geeked up about that, man. How about you?
Yeah. I also think it's probably been Hellbop might be the last comet that I saw, and I was in high school when that was the case.
Yeah.
The big thing that I've seen about this Comet Lemon is it's also Comet Lemon or C 2025 A6 is actually on my list to talk about tonight. So good call.
Okay.
Is that going around on Facebook? Is that it'll pass between the Earth and the Moon at only 0.15 million kilometers from Earth. That's not true. It'll pass about between 30 to 56 million miles from Earth. Still visible in the night sky, but going around on Facebook and a lot of other social places is a little fake information with how close it's going to be.
No, it's not a UFO. Let's just get that out of the way right now. It is not a UFO, but it's very rare that we as human beings get to see something celestial in the sky. Take the time, and you know what? Even if you go outside and go, there it is, cool, and walk back in.
Yeah.
Just take the time to say, hey man, did you see that comet?
You know what's really cool about comets? I think, I don't know, I may be the only one that thinks this is cool, but comets always have a tail. And we always, at least I did up until a point, thought that the tail was always like going away from the direction in which the comet was flying. Because we think of things as directional, right? If you got smoke coming out your window and you're driving down the road, the smoke is going to be behind you, right? It's always directional. But with a comet, that tail's produced by solar winds causing the gas and the ice in the comet to melt and break up and dissipate. And the tail always goes away from the direction of the sun. So the comet could be moving in one direction, but the tail is always away from the sun, blown by solar winds. So it has nothing to do with the actual direction that the comet is moving.
It's still really cool, though.
It is really cool. I mean,
I agree with you. I'm supporting everything you say, but I mean, when you see that tail, I mean, I remember the first comet I saw was Halley's Comet.
Hmm.
And then, of course, Hale-Bopp, and then I think I've seen one more since then. And then I missed out on the one a year and a half ago. I couldn't see it. I was looking in the direction, just couldn't see it. And a buddy of mine just north of me, he geeks out on this stuff way bigger than I do. Bob actually got some incredible photos from it. He really did. And so I know he'll be ready for the next few nights. But I mean, I don't know. There's just something cool about thinking that the next time that comes around, our great grandchildren are literally going to be dead.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun thinking about the death of future generations, Dave. So thanks for bringing that up.
Like little Dave Scott, the 20th might be able to get a chance to see it.
Now, where what I like to think about is where are we going to be technologically when it comes around? Like maybe we've advanced to the point where we could actually intercept that comet when it comes back around again.
Or maybe, just maybe, the technology will be there to bring us back.
To bring us back and then we'll do
like how many times
heads and jars from Futurama?
How many times will I be reincarnated before that happens?
Dave, you're asking reincarnation is a fickle thing, man. You can reincarnate into the past. It doesn't always have to be the future. So, but that's a whole nother discussion for another time.
Oh man, that's way too deep. Being sober, having that conversation sober, way too deep. Oh man.
I got a prime example though where that's the case, but we can get into that another time. It's probably too woo for these folks.
Oh no, you got 6.5 minutes to tell that story, my friend.
Okay,
we're getting there.
All right, so as you know, I do some stuff with like dowsing rods. Ask yes, no, true, false questions, and I get responses. So one of my daughters, we got an energy on the line that claimed to be her reincarnated in the future, but she was communicating with her in the now. Okay. We also got one that was her reincarnated 1,000,000 years in the past, but also communicating with her in the now. So there you go. And I mean, that's my understanding of how time works outside of our dimension, is that it's all happening simultaneously anyway. So there is no past lives or future lives. There's just lives. We put the time element in place. We consider it past lives or future lives, but they're all happening all the time simultaneously.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think about that, man. Pretty incredible. I want to get to the next story.
Okay.
Here, because it is kind of important. This one may take us into the next half hour. Okay. This isn't UFO related, but it is a big anniversary in the cryptid world, as 58 years ago today, the Patterson-Gimlin Sasquatch film, which they've nicknamed Patty, filmed at Bluff Creek, California, northeast of San Francisco. And to this day, it is still the most controversial film of the genre. People today, like, I put it up on my Facebook page, basically saying, hey, like 58 years ago today, this happened. And it's amazing how many people today still are adamant that it's fake. Like one gentleman put, Total fake from start to end, staged for sure, but made the filmmakers famous. Well, I don't see Bob Gimlin, who's 94 years old, living in a 10,000 square foot mansion with, a Maserati, a Ferrari, a Rolls Royce over this movie. He's lived a pretty poor life, financially.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things I want to say about this, and I'll get your opinion too. Number one, we continue to look at this video from the eyes of the present. We do not look at this video from the eyes of 1967. Okay, where the sexual revolution hadn't begun yet, the free love, which started in 69, 70. Okay, this is a time when there were still police and by law enforcement officers going to beaches to measure bathing suits of women to make sure they weren't more than 1 inch above the knee.
Yeah.
It was a very conservative country in the United States and Canada, where I am. Okay, sex wasn't talked about, nudity wasn't talked about. It was a bastion of the underworld. I'm not saying that sexuality didn't exist or anything like that, but it wasn't. People were more proper, they were more religious, they were more conservative. I'll use that word again. So for people to think that these two hillbillies from northeastern California would sew together a monkey suit and then put somebody in there and just for a joke say, hey, let's sew a pair of boobs on this for a joke, because there are breasts on it. And if you look closely, and I'm not saying that to be sick or demeaning or to make fun of the subject, this is what convinces me that this creature is real, because they aren't going to take the time to say, well, let's add a pair of watermelons on this outfit so it looks female. They're not going to think like that. They're going to build a monkey suit. Number one, it's going to look absolutely hideous with the technology of fur back then.
Right.
I mean,
go look up 1960s Easter Bunny shots.
Absolutely. That's a great example. They could barely put a costume together that didn't scare children.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to say that this person is going to walk in the middle of California wearing this suit, creating, what was it, 17, 18-inch footprints or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. Also, if given, like, to continue with your suit, construction piece, if it was created, I would have expected it to show up in movies of the era soon after. Like, they would have sold it to Hollywood, the costume, and it would have showed up exactly as it was in the next, horror feature film, double feature that was playing at the local drive-in. But to my knowledge, there's never been an exact recreation of the suit down to the details that are present, or a recreation of a suit that were down to the details is what's present in that video.
I would agree with you. And the other thing that I get about that is you can tell when somebody is faking a video because nobody can mimic that walk.
Yeah.
I have not seen a video yet of somebody trying to create a Sasquatch video who has been able to 100% perfect that walk of that creature. And
go ahead. I was going to say there's like an air of worry or concern.
Yeah. Hold that thought. I apologize. I'm so into the topic. I forgot to watch the clock. We're going to continue with the Patterson Gimlin talk with Josh Rutledge, the Wizard, right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I'll say it now while we're off the air. Nobody's sewing a pair of tits on this thing. Nobody.
No.
Okay. I almost said tits on the radio. I was close. And somehow I all of a sudden stopped and came up with watermelons. Good call, Dave.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, right.
Coconuts. Yeah, that's typically what's used.
Yeah, who's putting the lime on the coconuts?
Yeah,
right. But no, I mean, we'll continue this because I have one more thing that I want to say, and it does kind of tie into the UFO world. And I'm sorry for eating up all your time.
Oh, that's right. There's not a lot going on. The only thing that's really, I guess, pressing is the company that told the New York Post that they were behind the New Jersey drone scare.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. That's not surprising. Mm-hmm.
So I went out to Shane's this past weekend.
How was the beard?
The beard's doing well.
Nice. How's
he had,
Shane?
he was really good. We had like 9 people out at his place, which is usually have like 3 or 4. Some new folks, some new energy. It was good. Saw some orbs off in the distance with everybody.
Nice.
And then I did a dowsing rod session, and we got one of the guys that was there. His great uncle was the radio operator on Project High Jump.
Oh wow!
So we actually ended up getting his great uncle, who was deceased, on the line with the dowsing rods. Got a lot of great interaction and feedback and information. It was a fantastic session. And for a lot of 5 of the folks that were there, they'd never been a part of anything like that before. So, it was good experience for them too.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Hold on. Now I got to close the window. It's getting too cold in here.
All right.
Hey guys, are we on the verge of global extraterrestrial contact?
Let you take that. I mean, I think we already are extra. Do you mean open? Do you mean to be open extraterrestrial contact? Because we've been global extraterrestrial contact for a long time. What's really interesting about that, though, is that the U.S. seems to be the only country in the world, or maybe even Canada or maybe the UK too, but the only countries in the world that talk about it openly.
Yeah.
You don't ever really hear anybody from Japan or, Korea, Vietnam, India, none of the other countries anywhere else in the world talk about extraterrestrial contact. I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Maybe it's because it's so steeped in their culture that they just accept it as the norm.
Could be. Could be. We got about 90 seconds. Mm-hmm. You're gonna grow a beard for Vegas?
This is all you get, man. Sorry.
Keep that lip blade glowing, man.
I'm waiting to see if it's going to fill in the middle. It hasn't yet. It's been going for a month so far. This is all I got. I grow facial hair really, really slow. So,
well, then by the time we,
maybe next May. Who knows? I also could get tired of it and cut it all off. So we'll see, because it does bother me from time to time.
All right, 40 seconds. Big thank you to T-Bone, my man, Alaska's greatest athlete, Creepypasta, and Maggie for the super chats. Luscious Jules, thank you for signing up to our YouTube membership. for the next couple of months. We love you. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. I'm putting up some new swag here on the store, changing a bunch of our logos. So go check them on out. See if any of those like you. That would be great. And here we go. 5 seconds. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We have the wizard, Josh Rutledge, here for the UFO report that's turned more into a Bigfoot type conversation. But first, we want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, please check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, Josh Rutledge is here. The Patterson-Gimlin film, 58 years ago today. It was filmed by these two gentlemen in Bluff Creek, California, nicknaming the Sasquatch Patty because it is a female that is walking through. One thing that I wanted to say, and it kind of ties to the UFO world, Josh. Okay. I think it's important to get into this, okay?
All right.
For more than 50 years now, Roger Patterson, God bless his soul, he died in the 80s. And Bob Gimlin, who is now 94. They received death threats. Their family received death threats. Their children received death threats. Other family members and friends received death threats over a Bigfoot video, claiming that they found it and this is what it looked like. They did what they were supposed to do. They filmed it. People have claimed that it's a hoax and that they made it all up. And at one point, I think it was Gimlin who said, fine, you think it's a hoax? It's a hoax. And people were like, aha, caught ya.
Yeah.
Right. But when you have so many threats on your life for a Bigfoot video, and we see that in the UFO world, that there are these psychopaths that are out there who think that because you film a UFO or you're talking about a UFO or you're indulged in the conversation, the topic, maybe helping work towards disclosure, whatever it may be, that somebody is going to call you and message you and give you death threats. Or in today's day and age, they go a little bit further where they're willing to make up stories about, sexual harassment or workplace violence or home violence or whatever it may be. These monsters are out there. And I feel for them because they made a video of a Bigfoot. They released it to the world because they were excited. Look what we caught. We finally caught one on camera. And here were all these people out there, literally, and not everybody. We don't want to make it sound like it's mountains. It's little molehills of these psychopaths who think that if you keep talking about this, I'm going to unalive you. Well, let's go back to proper English. I don't care about the algorithms. People are going to call you up and say, I'm going to kill you over a Bigfoot video or over a UFO video. Mm-hmm. Imagine that, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, I think with, a lot of things, these people have always existed, in my opinion. Like the people who would go to that extreme for something that at the end of the day is probably more of an issue with it causes them to question their belief system, and they can't, probably, I'm gonna speculate and say they were probably raised in a very religious culture, and so any question of any existence beyond the strict, the way that their religious figures laid it out for them causes them to need to question their belief system, and they can't do that. So instead, they attack those that are proposing evidence, supposed evidence that causes that for them. But I would also say that the rise of the social media, and the fact that it's now so easy for these people who 50 or 60 years ago would have just been in their apartments with newspaper all over the windows, and you would never see them. They were shut-ins or whatever. They might even cut out random letters from newspapers and send those letters off to people. Like, the rise of social media has given them an easier voice to be heard, as well as the efforts that it doesn't take a lot anymore to find out where people live. Like, used to be, you had to know something about them, maybe the city that they live in. Then you could maybe go to that city and go to a phone booth and get a phone book and try to look up where they're located in that city. It was a lot harder to find where people live. Now it's a lot easier. So, we've still got the same mixture of just, unhinged people who are now able to get access to information about their, victims, basically, whether it be, actually following through on their actions, or just, mentally assaulting these people with all of their, death threats and things, like you say.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. We're talking about an extreme few. Okay. Yeah. And even today on X, and over the last few days, whether or not you like Lou Elizondo, there has been a lot of threats against him recently on X. Now, for people who don't know who Lou Elizondo is, he's a gentleman who claims he ran a UFO program at the Pentagon called ATIP before leaving that position in 2017 to come out in support of the UFO disclosure. And to this day, there's controversy around him. And, he's made some mistakes and he's made some very questionable calls on things, but that's not for the argument. But the fact that there are people out there who think that it is correct to threaten his life over his statements. I mean, this is a guy, when he goes up on a podium now, he has to have a bulletproof vest on underneath his clothing, because you never know where these psychopaths are hiding.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a scary, it's just a generally scary world that we kind of live in right now. Because of all the things that I mentioned previously, but also just, I think that because also news media is so readily available, we hear about things that maybe before we wouldn't have. If there was a shooting, in the state over from you, or the district over from you, you may not have heard about it unless it somehow found its way into your local newspaper. But now news is bombarding us all the time, so we hear all the negative things. And because negative things also means viewership and it sells advertising, then that's what a lot of media pushes, is more of the negative stuff, and not so much of the bunny races that happened this past weekend, and the cute puppy races, and all these things that we also used to get in our local newspapers. So we're saturated with negative reports, and so it makes it feel like there are more of these things happening than ever did before, when in all actuality, it's probably close to the same that it was 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. We're just hearing about it more.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I think that it is something that is still a little traumatic for people. And, I think as we get more into an AI world, more and more people are going to be holding on to their own personal videos because they see things. Like I've often said on this show that if I had the smoking gun video to a Bigfoot or a dogman or a UFO landing with aliens coming out, I really don't know if I would release it to the public because I've learned from what Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin have gone through. I've watched what's happened close up to what's happened to UFO people who've come out to speak about this subject and the idiotic threats that go against them. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse on this topic, but it's no matter or no wonder why so many of these videos are probably out there. They probably exist, but people don't want to release them because of fear for their own safety. And it's not that government officials are all of a sudden going to come from behind every blade of grass and shrub in your yard, come confiscate the video. That's not going to happen. What is going to happen is the psychopaths online who are going to sit there and start coming at you, doxing your wife or your husband or your children, where they go to school, and making threats in private DMs to you. That's what's happening.
Well, and it's to your point, it's not the men in black I fear, it's the Joes in blue. Because those are the folks you really got to worry about. The other thing I'll say, on kind of one last thing on this topic is you could always, like I always thought, if I came across just some amazing evidence and I was worried about, fallout, I would publish it anonymously or use a fake name, because the video or the pictures or the whatever, it needs to get out. People need to see it. If you feel at the end of the day that the only way you can publish it is if your name is attached to it, that's ego talking. And you need to figure out which is better for people to see it or for you to be known as the person who provided it.
I would agree with you. All right, let's get to the drones, because we want to make sure Human Carl in our chat room gets to hear about the drones. What do you got for us on the latest? Because it was almost a year ago at this time, or around this time a year ago, when all of a sudden the drones started appearing over New Jersey.
Yep. And supposedly, so in a recent article on the New York Post, this was Saturday's article, they were doing a filming a test flight for a small VTOL aircraft, which is VTOL is, has propeller blades. It's like an aircraft, and it's got propeller blades. So this is like a single seater, small VTOL aircraft. And supposedly this company, this private contractor, claims in the interview that they were the cause of the New Jersey drone scare a year ago. I'm mixed on it, because to me it's a lot like the crop circle guys that came out in the 90s. Like, if these things really are UFOs, or even let's go as far as to say not UFOs, let's go as far as to say alien navigated or ET navigated craft, it's really easy to step in and claim credit for something where the person or the entities that really created it are not going to come forward and disprove you, right? So in the 90s, when those two guys in the UK was like, oh yeah, we go out with boards and strings and stuff, we make all these crop circles. The only problem is that the genuine crop circles don't look anything like what they created on the news. When they made that claim, it's impossible to disprove them. And so in this case, if it was really, something other than this company, whatever that other thing was, would have to come forward to disprove or discredit this company. And I don't see that happening. But what I do think should happen is, if it was truly them, somebody needs to press charges, because it was a big to do. Like, we're flying over all kinds of military bases and shutting down airports, and people were losing their mind over everything that was going on out there. Somebody needs to press charges against this contractor. If it's truly that they were responsible, then it needs to happen.
I never thought it was aliens. I never thought it was aliens.
I know. I remember us talking about it when it happened.
I had two different sources within who were telling me that it was some sort of, search mission by the U.S. military. Because what I had heard, and I'm not saying this is all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying this is all of them at all. But what I had heard was that leading, especially after the election and leading up to the election last year, that there was cause for concern that there may have been parts of a dirty nuclear bomb moved into the area, and they needed the drones up there to scan for potential nuclear waste. They couldn't do it during the daytime, because the sun's radiation would block the radiation detectors on the drones. Now, does that account for all of them? I'm not saying it does. I'm really not. There were some weird ones seen, but I think in the way social media blows things up, we did see a lot of helicopters. We did see a lot of airplanes, and even jet planes coming in and out of the airport around Newark and all those areas. We saw that happening. But does it make up for all of them? I don't think so. But I do believe that the majority of them were human-made.
Well, and the other piece is, for me, is that I think that a lot of them were also misidentification. They were people who normally don't look up, who now were looking up because it was in the news and stuff for the area. And they were seeing things in the night sky that they're not used to seeing because they don't ever look up. I would say, if my guess was be probably, 60 or 70% of what was reported was probably misidentification, maybe even higher, maybe even 80 or 90%. But the other 10%, 15%, those are the ones that I think are important to consider. And, the ones that originated from over the ocean, flew into land and then went back to the ocean, plus most battery life of drones is not something that can stay aloft for very long. I mean, this small VTOL aircraft has a maximum flight time of about 40 minutes. That's assuming it's flying to wherever it's going and then returning, at some point. So some of these I think were observed in the sky for a long period of time. I don't know. I just, to me, it's still a mystery. And the fact that the FBI got involved and like every possible, law enforcement agency got involved and basically said, we don't know what this is. That to me says that somebody would have thought, hey, this private contractor is testing out this VTOL thing. Let's find out if they're the ones behind. Like, it's not like they can test it out in secrecy and silence. They're a private contractor. They have to get clearances to do all that stuff. I mean, I'm presently on a private contract with the government, and we have to get clearances to do the little things that we're doing. And they're little things. They're not anything like flying a private, a small VTOL aircraft around in the sky.
Well, but that's the reason why, Josh, I also thought that maybe these were some sort of military craft. Okay, that they're developing drones. Look, drone technology is being used everywhere in wartime situations now. And it makes me wonder, with about 3 minutes to go here, and it's for a completely different topic for another night, but it makes me wonder how quickly, under the rules of engagement that countries are supposed to follow before drones get banned from war action, because they are becoming so devastating. I saw a video today that popped up on my reel. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting of what was going on. And if a world war ever broke out again, let's hope it doesn't. But I mean, the amount of civilians that can be targeted by these now is going to be horrendous, way worse than what we've seen in the past. But I do believe that there is technology with a lot of these drones where they can stay up for more than an hour at a time now. You know, I mean, you look at some of these, like the Reaper drones.
Yeah.
They can go for hours upon hours. I think 12 hours or something along those
Right.
lines.
But that's different. They're jet fuel powered.
But we don't know the technology of these.
Well, that's true. That's
you
true.
know, but I mean, is it that company? They may have had a small portion of it,
right,
to do with it, right? But I believe it was more than one company. That's for sure.
But I still think that even if they were any part of it, if they didn't come clean and tell somebody last year, somebody should bring charges against them. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. It's against the law. And that they basically, the equivalency of that in a night sky, and then didn't tell anybody about it and let it drag on for months. Who knows how many public resources were spent trying to figure this out or track it down, if they might have been, a big portion of it all along. I think somebody should press charges and let them tell, here's the thing. Right now, they're taking credit for something that nobody can come in and say, no, it wasn't you. Press charges, and you'll find out really quick if they are actually taking credit for something that was them.
That is a good point. Josh Rutledge, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio twice a week for the UFO report. I know we're, in a lull for UFO news, but it will definitely come back. It's nice to talk a little Bigfoot with you because we don't normally have that conversation.
Real quick, before we go, if you are in the U.S., you can go to uapda.org. That's for the UAP Disclosure Act. uapda.org, and there's a petition on there. And if you're in the U.S., you can sign the petition, and they'll get it in front of Congress to try to get that, that thing passed.
Perfect.
So, yep.
Appreciate you, the wizard. We love it when you're here. So we say goodnight to Josh Rutledge, and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
That was awesome.
I was gonna say when we were at break before, you need a shirt design that is like a female and a male Bigfoot on ice skates, and you could put it the United Skates of America.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
That's a good call. You know what's funny is I was using a company called P&G Tree for my logo.
Yeah.
And I paid for a subscription.
Yep.
Then I got hit with a copyright infringement email last week saying that the package that I bought, which apparently is a lifetime membership, okay, does not cover businesses and they want me to spend an extra $400 American, which is about $680 Canadian. Okay, $650 Canadian on a yearly subscription of this. And I was thinking about it and I was like, well, that kind of makes sense, right? And then I started realizing, well, hold on a second here. They want me to pay for their work when I can go into ChatGPT, create exactly what I want for free. And I'm like, that isn't going to work. So I started putting a bunch of the logos that apparently they had issues with inside of ChatGPT to see if they were copyright infringed in any way. And I only had one out of, I think, the first 19 that I went through that was potential copyright infringement on it.
Yeah, I mean, did they tell you which one of the ones that you were using was copyright infringed?
Well, they're pretty much saying all of them now.
Ah. Yeah, it feels like a scam.
Yeah, it's a total scam. I looked it up online, and according to other people who have gone through this, they had their business or their little mini company like mine with them for between 6 months and a year and a half, and the same thing happened to them, where all of a sudden out of the blue they got this email. And the company is in Finland. They never do anything about it, but they pose this threat trying to get more money out of you over it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just changing the logos. I'm tinkering with them. So that way they're now mine, not theirs. Making them very similar, but not the same. You want to play that game? We can play that game.
Yep. And like I said, just jump out ChatGPT, throw in the image that they say is copyrighted, say, hey, create me a version of this, create a unique version of this. And then there you go. You're done. And then what I do is I always say, not that I do this very often, but create me a unique version of this on a solid black background. And then I have a Canva membership. So I'll jump into Canva, remove background, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. I didn't have any troubles with that. The only issue that I see with ChatGPT is their spelling errors, man. They got a lot of spelling errors on there when you're making a logo.
Yeah. They've gotten better. Do you pay ChatGPT?
Yeah. I have a monthly subscription.
Yeah, same. They've gotten better at it though. Usually it's like weird things like there'll be an extra dip in the letter M, or something like that. But again, I'll just download the image, throw it into Canva. Canva has a grab text function, an AI grab text function. So I'll do that. It'll grab the text and then I can modify it and then I'm good to go. So it's all about using all the tools at your, availability. Other thing is sometimes ChatGPT won't create an image for whatever, like they'll say it's against their policy or whatever.
Yeah, because I had an alien with a middle finger that said, "Skiff this," it wouldn't create it.
But Google Gemini, is sometimes they're better about creating that kind of stuff, especially if you use the word satire. Create a satire image of blah, 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 blah. Then it'll create it because it thinks you're just being satirical.
Wow.
So there you go. That's your way around it. Sometimes is like I've asked for things, and all the AI programs say no. But if I add the word create a satirical image of blah 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 blah, it'll create it.
That's awesome.
Yep. Tips and tricks from the UFO wizard for you.
That's why you're the wizard right there, man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head out of here. I'll catch you on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. I do have a few other things too that we didn't get to last week. So if we need something for Thursday, I got like Tim Burchett talking about a underwater UAP traveling 200 miles an hour.
I heard about that one.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
You take care.
Yep. Talk to y'all later.
The wizard, everybody. That's why we love him. I am not balding in the back. There is no male pattern baldness whatsoever there, woo-poo. PRM, how you doing? You know, Jessica Davenport, there's 183 countries in the world that have freedom of speech. That's protected. Love you, dear. What am I doing? Ah, yes. Going in here. I already have an account. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, not ready yet. Not ready. Warden Dragon, how are you doing? Yeah, PNG tree. It started out awesome. I never had an issue with them up until last week when they sent me that email. Paul Demon, how you doing? Let's try this again. There we go. PRM. Toronto can hit the ball at any time. They're actually, I'm not a fan of the Jays. I know I'm sacrilegious in Canada right now by saying that, but they hit the ball, and they hit the ball a ton. And they always seem to have that guy when you need a home run. It's either Guerrero or Springer or what's the other guy's name? Dalton Varsho. They're a team that gets big hits at the proper time. And it's that's what baseball's about, is getting those crucial hits at crucial times. Excuse me, playoff baseball. Do I think they'll beat the Dodgers? No. But nobody tell FAP that. Excuse me. So I don't ever remember. And guys, you know, I'm a diehard hockey fan. You guys know that. But I love baseball. Love baseball. And watching baseball is just, to me, is so much fun. I love baseball. But I don't think that I could ever recall seeing someone as dominant as Shohei Ohtani. He is incredible. And watching his swing and the way he connects with the ball and everything along those lines, it's absolutely amazing watching him. Like, what a privilege to be able to watch him play baseball. And he's phenomenal. Right? He is absolutely phenomenal. Tim Mothman and your goatee, I agree with you. Watching baseball live is way better than watching it on TV. I remember when I was a sports journalist in Vancouver, we had Summer League Single A for all the draft picks. And I'd sit on the roof at Nat Bailey Stadium in Vancouver and just watch baseball from the roof. It was amazing. You know, something about baseball. It's just so fun. I don't like a lot of what is happening with the technology that is coming in. Rush tickets are $461 for the cheap seats. Holy cow. That's expensive. That is expensive. Is that where it is? Where does it end here? Wow. Did they announce when they're coming to Vancouver? Rush World Tour. Hold on. Oh, the pre-sales. Well, they're starting in. Where are they starting? Oh, they'll probably end in Vancouver December 15th. Pre-sales going on. Wow. Really? Pre-sales open up on the 27th. You get a pre-sale for a year? Did I read that right? Like, pre-sales are up a year in advance? I don't think I'm reading that right. All right, where's the end of this one? Did I do that one? Yeah, I did that one. What am I waiting for? Spaceballs too. What are you still doing up, number one? Past your bedtime. Rick Moranis. Geddy Lee was at the Jays game today. Maggie Shepard, where's home for you? Did you ever hear the story how he got the name Getty? I was watching an interview with him with Dan Rather, and apparently one of his relatives had a very thick accent. I think it was his mom. And so when she went to say Gary, because his real name is Gary, it came out as Getty. Getty, go get me this. Getty, go get me that. So his friends picked up on it and started calling him Getty, Geddy. So that's how he got the name Getty. And then Lee is his middle name. That's how it all began right there. All right, guys, tomorrow night on the show, Victor Vigiani is going to be with us to talk about the UFO legacy of Paul Hellyer. Yeah, we're going to get into that and much more on the Canadian side of the UFO world. So that'll be a fun show, and you'll enjoy it, I promise you. Thank you tonight to Maggie, Creepypasta, Alaska's greatest athlete, and T-Bone, my man. Always appreciate your love and support. And thank you to everybody who hit subscribe, rang that bell. Just so you know, I will be editing a video for Flight 21. I'm hoping to have it up this week. I'm going to try again to put it into membership mode, so only members will get to see it for about 3 days. I got to figure that stuff out because it didn't work for me last time, so I need to be able to figure that out. And but yeah, if you want to view the latest video from Flight 21 early, you can do that with us here. I just got to edit it all together. Please forgive the audio. There's a couple spots where the audio isn't very good because, well, Tim had the microphones. I don't have microphones for mine yet. I got to get that. And I didn't have my gimbal. Tim has my gimbal. I got to get those back. So thank you guys for a great show. Emperor Penguin, how you doing? We will see you all tomorrow night, everybody. You have a great night, and thank you for tuning on in. I love you all. See you soon.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.